السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. الليلة مع عبد الله بن جحش، هو أخو زينب بنت جحش، وكلاهما ابن عمة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، أميمة بنت عبد المطلب. Abdullah bin Jahsh is the brother of Zainab bint Jahsh, the daughter of Jahsh. And this is, both of them, they are the cousins of the Prophet ﷺ. Their mother is Umayma bint Abd al-Muttalib, the daughter of Abd al-Muttalib, who is the grandfather of the Prophet ﷺ. وهو يعني فهو ابن عمته وهو صهره. He is related to the Prophet ﷺ in more than one way. ويعني له أوليات كثيرة. هو أول من عقد له لواء في الإسلام. He is the first leader, to military leader in Islam. وأول من دعي أمير المؤمنين. He was the first one to be called the commander of the chief or the commander of the believers, because he was the first leader. هو Abdullah ibn Jahsh من بني خزيمة. أسلم, he accepted Islam very early, before Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam get to Dar al-Arqam, which is like in a very early time, at the very beginning of Islam. And he migrated to Al-Habasha when the Prophet ﷺ, allowed his people to go to Abyssinia early, the first hijrah. And then he also was almost the second person after Abu Salama to migrate to Medina. After Muslims, become like being persecuted in Medina, the Prophet ﷺ gave permission to his friends to start, go to Medina, because a lot of supporters are there, and they already invited them and invited the Prophet ﷺ to go there. But he did not go like the first one, the Prophet ﷺ. He was like kind of late. He was waiting for permission from Allah Azza wa Jal. But his friends started making the migration from the city of Mecca to Medina. And Abdullah ibn Jahsh, the hero of us today, the giant person, the Sahabi that we're talking about today, was the second person after Abu Salama to make al-Hijrah. It's not easy. Now we're talking about like a couple of sentences. He made Hijrah, like he migrated. It sounds like easy. But when you have to leave your house, when you have to leave, it was not easy for him, because like that was exactly the situation. His like back then, as probably some of us who come from certain areas of the world, the family of such and such, they usually live in the same district. Maybe here even in some rural areas in the States, usually families or certain tribes, they reside in, could be the entire neighborhood. That's this kind of family lived there. So that was the case in Mecca. His family, Banu Jahsh, they all used to live in a certain area. And alhamdulillah, almost all of them accepted Islam. And all of them decided to make hijrah almost at the same time. So it was the entire neighborhood that becomes like vacant. After it was like a lot of people, a lot of residents, and now they left. And Abu Jahl, being the leader of the disbelievers in Mecca, he came and he claimed the best of these houses, which belongs to Abdullah ibn Jahsh. And he came to know about that, when he migrated, when the Prophet ﷺ migrated. It was not easy. When you know that you left everything for the sake of Allah, but now somebody else took over your home. It's not easy. So, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam calmed him down, and he said, wouldn't you be pleased if you know that Allah replaced you for this house, a house in Jannah? And he felt so, much better after he heard this from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Again, think about it. Those we know about hijrah, Muslims, muhajirin who made hijrah, it sounds like easy for us, or we get used to it, but it was not really. It was not easy. Think about it when somebody like Abdullah has to leave his own home. Like, this is his city that he grew up in. Not only once, but actually twice. One time to Abyssinia, and the second time for Medina, and that was all for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla. He wanted to, practice his religion freely, without anything. That was not, this is something we take it for granted nowadays, wherever you are. We take it for granted, but it was like people had to leave their homes to attain this kind of freedom. Now, he left to Al-Madinah, and then he was kind of person that was, if we have to give him one attribute, he was extremely obedient to the Prophet ﷺ. Everything he used to say, سَمْعًا وَطَاعًا لِنَبِيِّ اللَّهِ. We hear and we obey the Prophet of Allah. And that was clear when the Prophet ﷺ chose him and appointed him to be the first leader ever for the first, almost the first military action. When the Prophet ﷺ, after he left Mecca and he stayed in Medina, he decided to know what's going on. He had to get the news of Quraysh, so he will, take necessary precautions and so on. So he sent 8 people, and he was the leader, Abdullah ibn Jahsh. He told them like a day before, I will appoint the leader amongst you to be the most endurant, the person who endures hunger and take, he was the best amongst you to take severe conditions. And the next day he named Abdullah ibn Jahsh. There was Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, big names, but he was the leader. But the Nabi ﷺ gave him a letter, and he said, do not open it, that has my directions. Do not open it, go this way, and open it only after you cover the distance. Usually they used to cover the distance back then by time, after 2 days. Keep going for 2 days, and then you open my letter to see my directions and my orders for you. He did it, and he opened it. He didn't know what is the destination, what he's supposed to do, but this letter, when he opened it, it tells him that I'm asking you to go all the way to the place by the name of Nakhla, which is on the other side, between Mecca and Ta'if, southern Mecca. Medina is in the north, but the Nabi ﷺ wanted them to go the other direction, which in a place that's so close to Mecca, to know what's going on, and bring me the news. He didn't order him nothing to do anything other than this. Just stay there for a while and see what Quraysh is planning to do, how things are going, to give him some news. They got there, and they saw, they stayed there for a few days, and there was a caravan of Quraysh passing by, almost making it to Al-Haram, and it was the last day of Shahr Rajab, month of Rajab. Month of Rajab is one of the 4 sacred months. Even before Islam, these months were sacred in the sense of no fight in them or anything. Even if people are fighting, they have to, have a truce and they stop war. That was something that was holy, and Islam came to confirm that. And also it was known that there is no fighting whatsoever in the Haram, in the borders of the sanctuary of Mecca. So these people were almost they said, well, they made a kind of consultation. What should we do? Should we attack them, or what should we do? Then they decided, if we leave them, yes, this is the last day of Rajab and it's a sacred month. But if we wait until the next day, we will not be able to get them, because they will make it into the sanctuary of Mecca, the Haram of Mecca. So they decided to attack them. They attacked them, and they got the entire caravan, and they killed 1 person and took 2 captives. And they took all of that to the Prophet ﷺ in Medina. When he came to know that, he was sad. He said, I didn't order you to fight. Why didn't you follow my direction? They thought that, they made the shura, the consultation and everything, but they thought that's the best decision to make. But when they came, and Nabi ﷺ kind of blamed them, not only him, everybody was looking at them, look at these people, they disobeyed the instructions of the Prophet of God. And everybody was looking down at them, people are blaming them, Prophet ﷺ talked hard to them. But these are sincere people, they didn't know what to do. After a while after that, Allah revealed the Quran to approve what they did. The ayah, I was actually planning to recite, but I didn't get to it. يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الشَّهْرِ الْحَرَامِ قِتَالٍ فِيهِ قُلْ قِتَالٌ فِيهِ كَبِيرٌ. They ask you about fighting, because the Quraysh started making a lot of propaganda about it. They said, well, these are the good people, the Muslims, who claim that they respect what should be respected. Amongst what should be respected is the holy month. This is a holy month. So they fought and they killed and they took the money in a holy month, and they started making a big of a deal of it. But Allah then responded to that. He said, they ask you about fighting on the sacred month. They ask you about fighting in the sacred month. Tell them, قُلْ قِتَالٌ فِيهِ كَبِيرٌ. He said, yes, fighting in a sacred month is something big. It's not something small. But وَصَدٌّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَكُفْرٌ بِهِ وَالْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ وَإِخْرَاجُ أَهْلِهِ مِنْهُ أَكْبَرُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. But you have 4 or 5 crimes that all of them are way bigger than the problem that they committed, or the crime they committed. You hinder people from the course of God, you have them persecuting them for over 10 years. وَكُفْرٌ بِي, and you disbelieve in God, who is the true God of this house that you are keeping hold of it. وَكُفْرٌ بِي وَالْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ وَإِخْرَاجُ أَهْلِهِ مِنْهُ أَكْبَرُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. And now you take control of the holy mosque, the haram, and you kick the people who are the true residents of this house without any right to do so. All of that, وَالْفِتْنَةِ, all of that أَكْبَرُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. All of that is way graver and greater in the sight of Allah. وَالْفِتْنَةُ أَشَدُّ مِنَ الْقَتْلِ وَأَكْبَرُ مِنَ الْقَتْلِ. And fitna, which is like causing kufr, causing people, or like destroying the faith of people, or hindering the people from accepting the right faith, all of that is bigger in the sight of Allah. So Allah has kind of excused them for what they have done, and then the Prophet ﷺ took it, and it was actually like a confirmation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what they did. He fought with the Prophet ﷺ in Badr, the first big battle, and then he fought in the next battle as well of Uhud. And as they were making dua the night before, everybody he was like a close friend to Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. They said, let's make a prayer, let's invoke Allah Azza wa Jalla because we are fighting our enemy tomorrow. So Sa'd started, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, he said, oh Allah, make me encounter a courageous, strong person tomorrow, fighter or warrior tomorrow, and then give me power to overcome him, and make me like win or dominate him. And he said, his friend said, Ameen. It was the turn of Abdullah ibn Jahsh to make his dua, the Sahabi we're talking about. Then he started praying to Allah, and he said, oh Allah, make me encounter a strong person and make him dominate me. And he cut my nose and he cut my ear, and I meet you in the day of judgment, and you ask me, why is this happening? I will say that happened for your sake. That I lost my life, and all of that happened to me for your cause or for your sake. And Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, his friend, he said, Wallahi, by next day, by the end of the battle, by the end of the day, I saw him exactly as he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He fought so hard and everything, but he was martyred at the end of the day, and his nose was cut, his ear was cut. فأمر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. We know that Hamza was martyred, also one of the big warriors, fighters. He was martyred in this ghazwa as well, in this battle. Allah Jalla ordered them to be in the same grave, because they are related. Hamza is his uncle, maternal uncle, خاله يعني, أخو أمه أميمة. فالنبي ordered them to be in the same place. And if you happen to visit Medina, the sites, you will find them, their grave is known. This is Hamza and Abdullah ibn Jahsh, somewhere there, subhanAllah, in these graves. And until nowadays, when you visit them, you smell the fragrance that's really, it's undescribable. You cannot describe it, because it's the smell of those martyrs who sacrificed their life for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla. So let's be as honest and true and sincere in our faith. We don't have to sacrifice your life or anything like these people, but let's have at least commitment to your faith. Let's have commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just like those people, they took it to the extent of it, as far as commitment, as far as love of this deen, as far as living for it. All we have to do, let's just take this, deen, beautiful deen, and practice it in our life, and put some commitment into it, inshallah, so we'll have the light of Allah coming in our life. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه.